Hi class, welcome to week 9, lesson 9.1. So this week we're back to the biomimetic design process and we're going to dive into the evaluate stage. Okay, so you've been through all the other steps in the design spiral and now here we are at evaluate stage, which is the last stage before you go back to the next lap of the design spiral. So of course in the sequence you've got identify, translate, discover, abstract, emulate, which you did last week when you came up with your design project, and now we're going to do evaluate. If you remember, we covered this stuff back in week 3 when we talked about nature's design principles, and if you recall we talked about what sustainable design is really about and what we're aiming for, and the aim of biomimetic design is to support life on Earth. Or the bigger goal is to really realign ourselves, our materials, our processes, our systems, our designs with nature. And really in doing so, it'll help us realign ourselves and our spirits with nature. So you, your spirit, everyone on Earth will be realigned with all the organisms on Earth. So that's the bigger goal of biomimetic design. And to do that, we turn nature's principles into design principles. And the idea is that to live on Earth, all organisms, including humans, have to undergo metabolism, maintain homeostasis, which means you have to maintain your boundary and keep things pretty much the same inside. You have to possess a capacity to grow, you have to be able to respond to stimuli, you have to be able to reproduce, and be able to adapt to your environment through successive generations. And you have to do all these things under the conditions that are present on Earth. And of course there's tons of conditions on Earth, but in the big picture, the 3 we need to consider for biomimetic design is that Earth is water-based. Remember, it's the blue planet, so all of our chemistry has to be water-based. Our designs have to be water-based. Earth is in a state of dynamic non-equilibrium. Dynamic means things are always changing, and non-equilibrium means they're changing in all kinds of different ways that are not consistent or predictable. Of course, some things are consistent like day and night, but you can see just by the weather pattern here that it's not the same all the time, right? So it's not in the equilibrium. Also, we've got limits and boundaries. So the size of the Earth is limited. The amount of resources on Earth is limited, and there's boundaries, as you can see, like land boundaries, the boundaries of the atmosphere and such. So organisms have to live under these conditions, and to do that, all organisms and processes and systems follow these set of life's principles. Okay, and this is what they look like in outline form. The 2 main ones are that life adapts and evolves, and life creates conditions conducive to life. And they're represented by the 2 sides of this butterfly. And the idea is all the principles on this side feed into the ability to adapt and evolve, and all of them on this side feed into the ability to create conditions conducive to life. And these help organisms on Earth survive and thrive under the operating conditions here on Earth. And if you recall way back from week 3, each of these feeds into the next one, feeds into the next one up the line in order to get to here. You also remember some of these here connect to ones over here, okay? Because everything in life is interconnected and interdependent, and you'll find that again when you go through dive deeper into the evaluate stage, dive deeper into applying life's principles to your design. Now before you do that, I'm going to have you read another piece by Stephen Vogel. You may remember him from way back in week 1 when we were just exploring biomimetic design in general. And if you recall, he's, I don't want to say a cynic of biomimicry, but he's got a different outlook on biomimetic design than you find in biomimicry. He's got some things for you to think about. When you create a successful design, for example, it can still fail when you get to the commercial stage. And again, I really want you guys to leave this class not only with the inspiration of biomimetics and nature and the ability to create really innovative, sustainable designs, but also designs that you can implement in the real world. Okay, and gives you some tips on that. And then before you dive into your evaluate assignments, I want you to go back and review a guide to life's principles. We had that back in week 3, and I give you another copy so you don't have to go search for that. So just go back through that, review it again, so you refamiliarize yourself with that. And if you need to, go ahead and dive back to week 3, look at the different the videos, the readings, and the assignments, just to refresh your memory on how that works. So you've got 2 big assignments. It's going to take you most of the week to do it. The first one is to evaluate your own design that you came up with last week against life's principles. You're going to go through the evaluate stage, and the result is going to be, you're going to present in terms of a project update report. This is going to be evaluation and recommendations. Okay, so remember, flipping back here, that evaluate is the end of one spiral. It is also the beginning of the next. So whatever you come out with in that evaluate stage, you take into your next lap of the design spiral, and then you ask new questions in the identify stage, and then go through the process again. Hold on a second to get back here. Okay, so you're going to do your evaluation and recommendations, and you're going to spend a couple hours doing that. And it's really important for what you're going to come up with next week for your final design project. You're also going to share your feedback. I don't know if it's going to look quite like that, but you're going to share your feedback with one or probably 2 fellow students in a class, and you're going to do a draft design evaluation and recommendation for your fellow students. And again, this is real similar to what you did way back in week 3 when you were just learning about life's principles. And this will be really important feedback for you to give to your fellow students, and your fellow students will give to you. It's going to be really, really eye-opening for you to do this. It's also, as we said back in week 3, a fantastic tool. So if you're a consultant, designer, you're planning on being that when you get done with this class or with your program, this is a really good sustainable design tool to be able to do this evaluation and recommendation for sustainable designs. Okay, so again, I know I've said this so many times in this course, but I really like the idea that individual components in this course will be useful to you as professionals, and this is one of those tools. Okay, so that's going to take you a couple hours to do each of those. So that's another 4 hours for you. And then at the end of the week, you're going to do your BCI this time. And what you're going to think about is imagine improving your project based on the recommendations that you gave yourself. So that should be a nice way to finish the week. And then next week, you're going to take the recommendations that your fellow students gave to you to improve upon your biomimec design project. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you have a really great time in the evaluate stage and learn a lot and really be thoughtful about the feedback that you give to your fellow students. All right, so I will see you next week.